Here's Goodnight Olive making her move to take the lead by a head around the far turn. Race Kane has nearly 10 lengths to make up. So does Scooby Guando, verifying the leader. Top of the stretch, Tapit Trice is coming onto the outside. Up to the mark is running late behind Master of the Seas. Set piece down the center of the course. Master of the Seas alongside Annapolis. Here's Elusive Princess coming after Maj, and Mission of Joy tries to find room between that pair. Maj has the lead. Mission of Joy second. Elusive Princess third. The champ in front. Goodnight Olive chased all the way. Tapit Trice! Tapit Trice wins the Toyota Bluegrass.
And welcome back, everyone. It's week 3 of the Keeneland Spring Meet. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now with the Keeneland Look Ahead podcast. I'm with you each night before the next day's racing. So we are previewing the card for Wednesday. And the action on Wednesday, April 17th, will include an 8-race program. We'll preview all of that in just a moment, give you a chance to look at the snapshot of the entire card where the multi-race wagers lay out. Of course, we'll get the handicappers selection box from Keeneland.com and check in with the other handicappers around Keeneland to see how they shake out this 8-race card. But before we get to week number 3, let's give you a little sense of where we are at the halfway point in this 2024 spring meet. 8 days in, 8 days remain. We've got a 5-day racing week, Wednesday through Sunday this week, and then we'll close a week from now with Wednesday, Thursday, Friday racing before things head over to Churchill Downs and get geared up for the Kentucky Derby. So 8 more days of racing. We're 8 days in. We're showing a flat bet profit for the meet, but it fell apart at the end of the week last week. If you were with me on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we were knocking them out of the park. Saturday and Sunday, things did not go well. We got battered around on Saturday and Sunday. So we're still plus $20 and some change for the meet. If you bet all of our top selections, $2 to win. So if we can beat the meet, that'd be fabulous. We've done that twice in the past 3 meets here at Keeneland. Didn't do it in the fall, but hopefully we'll get back on the beam here and get back to some winners after 2 rough days on Saturday and Sunday. But again, tremendous days, 4 or 5 win days on top, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So I guess the law of averages caught up with us over the weekend, but we'll see how it shakes out as we begin this race week. We've got 7 races on the main, 1 scheduled for the turf on the Wednesday card. Now, halfway through the meet, a couple things you want to look at, I think. Week number 3 coming up here for the meet. Trainers who've done really well historically in week 3. I like to break it down by week sometimes at the Keeneland meet, spring and fall, to see. Some barns just have deeper outfits and they've got good runners still to go later in the meet. Some save and hold some of their horses for later in the meet when it gets a little bit easier. Remember, the strength of this Keeneland meet is right off the get-go when we have all those graded stakes and big allowance and maiden specials, and it gets more blue collar as we get closer to the end of the season. Week 3, week 4 will be that way. Wesley Ward leads all trainers with 11 wins in week 3 over the past 3 seasons. Mike Maker's got 7, and Mike Maker being second most would tell you, he's got a lot of those blue-collar horses, turf, higher-level claimers. He's got a lot of horses in his barn, so he's got depth. He's got horses that are going to run in a lot of these blue-collar races. We get more turf races as the meet goes on, longer turf races, and they tend to be Mike Maker specialties, so that makes some sense. Brad Cox with 6 wins in week 3. Now, a couple that you might not suspect so much, Eddie Keneally and Brendan Walsh each have 5 wins over the last 3 years. That's tied for third most with Bill Mott. So look for Keneally, look for Walsh here in week number 3 of the meet. They might have some horses that fit a little bit better now than they did against the Pletcher, Brown, Mott brigade that was, and Cox, who are throwing out big-time horses the first 2 weeks of the meet here. Could get a little better for Eddie Keneally, Brendan Walsh. Look for those guys to move up. So far throughout the course of this meet, through 8 days, average $2 win payouts, $11.40 or $11.70. That's right on the national average. 9-2 is an average winner in horse racing in America. So that's not a bad price at all. Winning favorites up at 43%. It's a little higher than we'd like to see. We'd like to see that down 36, 37% and get closer in touch with the national average. But again, we've only had 8 days of racing, so a couple numbers here and there can throw you 5-6%. So we're not far off in that respect. Now, horses who have had the lead after the opening half mile have won 56% of the races on the dirt. That's higher than we're used to seeing here at Keeneland. That's usually about 30%. That 50% number is about horses that are within a length of the lead after the opening half mile. These are horses on the lead, and that's a difference. I would say this track is playing about a length and a half faster than normal. And so that is a forward playing racetrack that we've seen. Now, there's been some weather along the way. We've had a sloppy track. We've had a fast track. We have a little bit of everything in terms of track conditions. So let's see what happens here. We've had a couple dark days, any maintenance that might have been done. Follow the racing early and see how the track's playing, and we'll see if there's any change to that. But right now, I think you want to handicap speed in the sprint races, which is always strong at Keeneland. Remember this, like the average winner at Keeneland, I went back and looked at the database since we went back to dirt in 2014. The average winner on the dirt is one length off the lead after the opening half mile, regardless of distance. I mean, it's a forward racetrack to start with. Historically, it seems to be a little bit more forward the first 2 weeks of this meet, but this is Keeneland. The two-turn races have been rather fair. So let's see what happens in the two-turn races here this week and if horses are leading all the way there. Horses from Turfway have had an excellent start to this meet. And what's interesting, 19 winners from Turfway. That's the most of any circuit producing winners so far at the stand. We expect that to happen as the meet gets more blue collar. Turfway week 3, week 4, not in the elite part of the meet. So this is a sign that the Turfway racing, as anybody who's followed Kentucky over the last 18 months, 2 years has noticed, Turfway has gotten progressively better and drastically better this year. I think we're seeing a good product come out of Turfway in the winter, and it's showing up here at Keeneland. They're not only competing with the Fairgrounds, the Gulfstream, and the Oaklawn horses, they're beating them right now. And so keep an eye on the Turfway horses. They've had a great start to the meet, and I would think there's a lot of depth from Turfway, right? I mean, field sizes were huge. They ran a ton of days. So just the numbers and volume that Turfway is going to be able to put out over the next 2 weeks of this Keeneland meet should be, outnumber the circuits, the horses coming from the other circuits. So I think that what we're seeing from Turfway now only gets exacerbated as the meet goes on, in that being the top circuit producing horses. So 19 winners from Turfway already, just in the first 8 days of racing at Keeneland. That's 2.5 Turfway winners a day almost, which unheard of here the first 2 weeks of a Keeneland meet. So pretty impressive stuff there. Okay, let's get into the Wednesday card now as we look ahead on this program. We've got 8 races for you. Pick 5 starts in race number 1 on the Wednesday program. No carryovers to talk about. Race number 1 through 5 will be a pick 5. Race number 2 is going to start the early pick 4 on races 2 through 5. The pick 6, no carryover, starts in race number 3. 4th race on the card starts the late pick 5. It's also going to be part of the early pick 5 and the early pick 4. Swing race in race number 4. Race number 5, also a swing race in all the multi-race bets. Race number 5 is going to start the final pick 4, the late pick 4. It's the kickoff. It's the end of the early pick 5, and it's the early end of the early pick 4. So everything swings through races 4 and 5. You hope to have a strong opinion in those races on this particular card because that can help you set up your multi-race plays. Now, my key plays are in orange. They happen to be the last 3 races on the card. There's a couple reasons for that, and we'll go over that in just a moment. But Toyota Super High 5 will also be the 8th and final race on the card. No carryover in the High 5. Rolling daily doubles pick 3s offered on each and every sequence throughout the course of the day till you run out of races. Final pick 3, of course, will be races 6, 7, 8. And you can play daily doubles all the way up to the final 2 races on the card. Daily double takeout reduced from 22% to 15% this meet. When the handle's been good at Keeneland, the handle on the doubles has been outstanding. There were 3 rough days of handle last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, where there wasn't the amount of money we're used to seeing bet at Keeneland bet on those particular cards on those days when we had no turf racing, really sloppy conditions. Handle took a beating those 3 days, but the other days of the meet have been very strong. And when business has been strong, it's been way up on the daily doubles. So keep sending it in on those doubles. Send the signal that you want to play low takeout wagers. More money back in your pocket when you are correct. Now, I mentioned my 3 key plays on the card or the final 3 races in the program. 2 reasons for that. I found some prices I like later in the day. And frankly, I do not have strong opinions early in the program. So I'm looking forward to bouncing my ideas off the handicapper selectors box and the other handicappers at Keeneland. I looked at these races and I either found them uncreative for me or I just couldn't formulate a great opinion. Sometimes you have that. Sometimes you handicap a card and people say, like, how do you know you're going to have a good day or not? For me, when I handicap a card and it goes fast, I feel like I'm in good shape because things click, stuff I'm looking for, stuff I recall, that easy mind retention. I always say handicapping the races is like the childhood game concentration, where you flip a card here and you try to remember where it was. You're trying to put together things you've seen happen before and recount how they may happen again. So when a card comes together quickly for me, then I feel more confident going into it. When I struggle and I'm not finding things and I'm not finding patterns and I've got to go back and watch more replays and dig for more stats, when I'm working it too hard, then they're not just kind of coming to me. Now, maybe the results will turn out different on Wednesday, but I'm not going into this card on Wednesday like house of fire on the first, 4, 5, 6 races. Later in the card, I got a couple prices. I'm going to try to make my hay then, not overspend in the early part of the card. If my handicapping turns out to be on, maybe we'll hit some smaller winners early in the program, but we're going to try to approach it when we have confidence that we bet more. And when we don't have confidence, we peel back or skip altogether. So let's take a look at the races for this Wednesday program. Scheduled for one race on the turf, so there's no Keeneland Turf Pick 3, as we showed there in the snapshot. Just one turf race on the card. That is scheduled, I believe, for the 7th race. Yes, the 7th. Weather conditions are iffy for Wednesday. Folks in Lexington know the rain expected tomorrow morning, maybe clearing out later in the day. Let's hope to get that 7th race on the turf. Only one grass race scheduled. Not quite the same situation we had last week where we're waiting on like a grade 1 race on Friday, and we've really got to protect the turf course here. As long as the conditions are safe, even if they're less than ideal, they'll run on a softer yielding turf course as long as it's safe to do so. We're not protecting the turf course like last Friday when you just really had those superstar horses in the grade 1 race that you don't want to see come off the turf. So one turf race, again, it could rain in the morning and then clear out by later in the day. So keep an eye on track conditions as we go through the card. To the opener we go on Wednesday, April the 17th. And the first race is a maiden special, mile and a 16th here. Now, these are horses that are restricted to those who sold for $50,000 or did not meet the reserve in the sales. So it's kind of a maiden special open company race, but it's restricted. So it's a little bit easier than your straight maiden special. When we go 2 turns in maiden special weight company here at Keeneland, chalk tends to rule these particular races. So favorites are 25 for 43. You're not looking to go too far off the reservation in this particular spot. Look for horses that are well meant, well intended in here. I ended up with the 5 Razzle Red. I'm not wild about this one because the horse debuted at 32-1 on the turf, but it comes from Gulfstream Park. The Gulfstream runners tend to do well in these open maiden special weights at Keeneland in the spring. And frankly, there just aren't a lot of great things to hug and embrace in this particular spot. She Talks to Angels. The 3 was a horse I had originally had on top, running the numbers. I'm a little leery about taking a horse stretching out in distance here. We've had, 43 of these races in the spring. Only 4 of them have been won by horses stretching out off races less than 7 furlongs last out. She Talks to Angels, probably the best horse on paper off the 2nd place, sprinting on the turf at Fairgrounds last time. But again, makes that long stretch out and trip here. We'll see. I don't want to take a short price on something like that. And at the same time, these are races that, typically are won by the shorter prices. So I ended up on the 2nd morning line choice, Razzle Red, and almost, a bit of a default pick. I don't have a great reason why I like the 5. Other than I'm banking on the form from Gulfstream Park being good at this particular level. Riley Mott's horses have run pretty well at the meet with a win and a 2nd through limited number of starters. So that's kind of where I am in race number 1. As we look across, Tom Leach also has Razzle Red on top. She Talks to Angels, top pick by the others. Look, the top 2 favorites in this particular race would make a lot of sense. They don't look like a lot of value, and they've got stuff working against them. So I can't really just rousingly endorse a strong bet in this race because the favorites are likely to win and they don't look that great on paper. So maybe you want to spread a little bit here and work towards something in the daily double, multiple horses out of race number 1. I think we've got a little bit of a price in race number 2. So, maybe we can make some bingo that way where you skip the opener and look at something like the pick 4 starting in race number 2. So that pick 4 starting in race number 2 is where we will go next. This is a mile and an 1/8, 16,000 claimer. These are kind of, bottom end claimers. We've had 8 claiming races so far at the current meet. and horses from Turfway have won 4 of the 8 claimers. We expect Turfway to do well in the claiming races, but as I just mentioned, they've won 19 races overall. Only 4 of them were in the claiming ranks, so they're winning a lot of those races that are, higher class races as well. But at a mile and an eighth, 16,000 level, this would look like a good spot where, some of the Turfway horses might be where you want to lean in here. Mobster Gun comes from Turfway. Short List comes from Turfway. The Thunderer, Boitano, and Code Runner, 5 of them come out of the races at Turfway Park. Certainly you can make a case for those. I thought Candy for Carmel, though, is an interesting one because we don't see many horses come from Santa Anita, especially at this kind of claiming level at 16,000. Richie Baltus is coming off a ban at Santa Anita. He's come back. His horses have run decently since coming back. He's got 19% wins on the year. He brings us in from Southern California on a class drop. This just looks like a place to get a win for him to me. And I thought Candy for Carmel at 4-1 in the morning line won't necessarily be right up to the front in here, but there's not a lot of pace to the inside at all in this mile and an eighth race. The one Mobster Gun has shown some speed, but other times just doesn't break at all. The 2 and 3 aren't that fast. I think Flavian Pratt's going to try to be aggressive. California speed should be faster than these claimers from other parts of the country. I would expect the 4 Candy for Carmel not to necessarily be on the lead, but right up near there. So I went with the 4 on top in here. The 5 Kahala comes off back-to-back wins, but those were restricted. Non-winners of 2, non-winners of 3. Now this is open company, so you're starting to take on horses who have multiple wins on the resume, like number 7 Short List is a 9-time winner, 14-time runner-up, and taking on the 5 Kahala coming out of non-winners of 3 lifetimes. So it is a tougher spot for Kahala in here. Again, I don't have a fantastic opinion on this particular race. And as you look across the handicapper selectors box, All West, the 2 gets a couple top choices. Kahala gets a couple top choices. And I'm on the island with Candy for Carmel, but that's one that others have in there right in the mix. I think we can get a middling price. I think Nick Tamaro's morning line in here, is solid at 4-1 on the 4 Candy for Carmel. And one of the plays early in the card where I think you can get fair odds on a fair runner. If you want to stretch out, though, and go for one of these Turfway horses, again, you got 5 options in here. The Turfway horses have run really, really well. Amongst the Turfway horses, maybe the 2 All West. No, he's actually from Fairgrounds. I don't like any of the Turfway horses in my top 4 here from a straight handicapping standpoint. I had it 4, 5, 6, 2. And again, the Turfway's got 5 of the other 6 horses in the field. So you could see I'm wishy-washy early in the card, and I always want to be honest as a handicapper. I don't want to send you down, a dead-end street and try to tell you that I love a race when I don't love it. First 2 on the card, not a whole lot cooking for me in here. So if we can get 4-1 on that top pick in here, Candy for Carmel, we'll take a little shot at a win bet, but not a race, again, that I'm going to get deeply invested in. To race number 3, we go on the card. This will start the pick 6. Again, no carryover in the pick 6. Race number 3 is another mile and a 16th maiden special weight, just like the opening race on the card, but this one's not restricted in terms of the sales. So these are your straight open maiden specials, if you will, in this particular spot. They are 3 and 4-year-olds. So 3-year-olds and up. I don't think we've got any. Yeah, we do have a 5-year-old in here as well. So 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. In these races, the elders have had some advantage. I see 29 of them in the database where I could discern the 3-year-olds and up. The older horses have 18 wins. The younger horses, the 3-year-olds, have 11 wins at all distances. When you go to the route races, I've had 15 of them in the database. 10 wins for the older horses, 5 wins for the 3-year-olds. So you're probably better off in here statistically leaning towards the 4 or 5-year-olds versus the 3-year-olds. The 3-year-olds do get a weight break of 8 pounds. That's pretty significant over a mile and a 16th. But again, statistically, it hasn't helped them a tremendous amount in here. I ended up going with number 3, Dynamism. And that's also the top pick in here for Tom Leach. Foreseen the 5 picked on top by Gabby and Kim. Kara and Colleen, the top choice for Scott Hazelton in here. So we're all going for the older horses in here. The 3-year-olds are the 1, 5, and 6. So though the 5 is a 3-year-old in there that Gabby and Kim have. So they're going to take their shot with the 3-year-old going against elders. Rusty Arnold's got 2 in this. Here's an angle. When I originally handicapped this race, the 1 and the 5 for Rusty Arnold were interesting to me because when you have a short field of 6 like this and one trainer enters 2, typically that means he really likes one of his horses or she really likes one of his horses and the race wasn't getting enough entries. The racing office will start making announcements. Hey, we need horses to fill this race. I don't want the race not to fill if I've got one I really like, so I'll go ahead and enter another one to get them up over the threshold so that they keep the race and the race, quote unquote, goes. Well, maybe that's what happened in here. Just, some, connecting some dots. Maybe that's what happened in here where Rusty Arnold has the 1 Neon Icon and the 5 Foreseen both entered in this spot. Which one does he like, though? That's the hard part to figure out. The 1 Neon Icon is a first-time starter by Arrogate. Arrogate's had a great meet here at Keeneland. Already had, 3 winners so far at the meet on the main track. But we don't see first-time starters win these mile and a 16th races in the spring meet. So they're really kind of, if they like this horse, they're bucking the trends, taking a 3-year-old against elders and a first-time starter going long. But when you look at the jockey assignments, Rusty Arnold puts Luis Saez on the 1. He wins 29% with Saez with a lot of teamed up, ventures together. He rarely rides Tyler Gaffleone, just 5 times in the last year, according to the DRF stats, and they haven't won together. And that's who he puts on Foreseen. So if you're trying to figure out, well, which one does Rusty really like, you would think it's the one that he put Saez on based on who he's ridden before. But he's got the top 2 jockeys at Keeneland riding, right? Saez on the 1, Foreseen on the 5. Again, so mixed signals on what to do with those 2 Rusty Arnolds, and they're both 3-year-olds taking on elders. The one's a first-time starter. So again, that ended up putting me on Dynamism in here because this is the 4-year-old filly by Uncle Mo. Already has a career start. Does come in from Laurel. I'm not wild about that. The Laurel horses haven't run great here over the years. Grand Motion brings this one in. The winner of that Laurel race, who won fairly comfortably that day by 2+ lengths, was Riley G. It was a 4-5 shot for high percentage trainer Brittany Russell. So it was expected to go wire to wire that day and did. Dynamism did about as much as you could in that particular spot and just kind of getting up there for second. Now you go to John Velasquez. He rides these mile and a 16th races at Keeneland extremely well. I like the post position. I like to stretch out from 7 furlongs to a mile and a 16th. I gave the 3 the edge in here, but it's not a massive kind of endorsement. But I think amongst the races we've seen to this point, I like the 3 in this race as much as I liked anything so far on the card. I'm starting to get my opinions a little more gelled as the day goes on here. But I've got it 3, 2, and 1. I'm just not sure what to do with these 2 Rusty Arnold horses in here. Which one's meant? Maybe we'll find out that one would scratch and he doesn't really want to run both. That would certainly make the decision for us. But I don't have a lean on which one of the Rusties is really going to be the stronger of the 2. And they're both going to be bet. They look like they're going to be, second, third choices in the wagering. So we'll see how the public handles it and how Rusty handles it and how the horses take care of business because they usually have the answers, right? D. Wayne Lucas once told me Derby week, you guys all gathered around here. He had the Saul horses in front of his barn and everybody hangs out and talks with Lucas while he's holding court. And he says, you guys all come here with the answers, but the horses are, you guys all come here with the questions, but the horses are the only ones who have the answers. So, we're going to have to wait till race day to find out with that race number 3 and how it's going to shake out. 4th race, what we do know about that one, it's a swing race. It's part of the early pick 4, the late pick 4, early pick 5, late pick 5, swing race to everything in race number 4. And it is a 4.5 furlong baby dash. So in this particular spot in race number 4, you're obviously looking to the Wesley Ward horses. He's won 3 of the 4 this meet. He's won 44 of 81 since we started back on dirt back in the spring of 2015. No other trainers won more than 9. Again, I got to remind people of this all the time, but it's 44-9 in the standings. Rusty Arnold to the next closest trainer. That's John Hancock. And John Hancock's got the 9 strumming in here. So Bostonian, the 4th, a horse who's been entered a couple times so far this meet and scratched a couple times. I think once on the also eligible list, a couple times entered with dual horses, multiple horses for Wesley Ward, and he opted to run the others. Again, Ward's won 3 of the 4 2-year-old races so far. He's going to be a heavy, heavy favorite to win this one. Rodriguez rides. He rode his 2-year-old winner earlier. So, don't look at the Wesley Ward jockey assignments and think because it's not an A-list rider that he doesn't think much of them. Again, Rodriguez, Ward already teamed up with a 2-year-old winner at the meet. This one should be awfully strong in here. I thought the 2 Jet Sweep Joe's interesting maybe for the exacta in here. But again, you're looking at a horse who's going to be backed. Paul McEntee trains this son of Frosted. Frosted had a couple 2-year-old winners here a couple springs ago. So from a pedigree standpoint, this horse might be ready to go early. Good workouts in the morning. And Alvin Jimenez, one of the top jockeys percentage-wise in any of these baby dash races, going 4.5. So I've got it 4, 2, and 9. Again, there's not a lot of creativity there. These are going to be the 3 top wagering choices on the board in race number 3. Now, if you are going to play the early pick 5, early pick 4, and you've got some better opinions or more, congealed opinions than I do in the first couple, this is a single. I mean, I wouldn't get beyond Bostonian. Just go ahead and take the single. But when you get Ward in there as a single in one of these swing races, that's going to bring down the price on the payoffs on all of these legs. So you're not looking at boxcar payoffs in the pick 4s and pick 5s if you're going to get a Wesley Ward 2 to 5 shot in race number 4. And that is the way it kind of looks like on paper to me. So let's go to the 5th race. This is our second swing race. Again, part of all the multi-race wagers. Pick 5, pick 4s, pick 6. They all swing through race number 5 at some point in time. This is a non-winners of 2 lifetime claimer. You could also get in this race as a 3-year-old, so it's kind of a dual condition claimer. If you're a 3-year-old, you could win as many races as possible and be eligible for here. But the funny thing is that not the funny thing, but really the silly thing in terms of the entries, the 3-year-olds who are entered in this race are just non-winners of 2. So they have no advantage. They're facing other non-winners of 2 lifetime. Let's go to our selections in race number 5, where I'm going with Baytown Lovely on top. And this is an 8-1 shot in the morning line. So now we're starting to get a little somewhere, right? We've got a 4-year-old taking on the younger horses. And in these non-winners of 2 lifetime, I like to find horses who have the best maiden win on their resume. Baytown Lovely won a maiden special baby dash here at Keeneland in April of 22. So we know you like the course. That's a good sign. You've got the best maiden special weight win of anybody, maiden win of anybody in this race. A lot of these horses won for lower levels, 15,000, 7,500, or they won at lesser circuits like Mahoning Valley, Evangeline Downs. You're talking about a Keeneland maiden special weight winner at number 6, Baytown Lovely. I think simply she finds the right fit here today. Start number 11. Again, 2 starts back, she ran well at a similar level at Turfway Park. Last time out was taken on the boys. Back in with fillies today. I like the 6 Baytown Lovely in this particular spot. And Kim Nelson agrees. Baytown Lovely, as far as the other handicappers, no love in there. So Blenheim Baby, the 8, is the top pick for Scott and Tom. I've got Blenheim Baby in my 3rd spot. Crystal Symphony, top choice in here for Gabby. Gabby's pick is 10-1 in the morning line. Crystal Symphony. That one for trainer Phil Sims. Be sure to tune in and see why she likes that long shot. 11:30 a.m. Eastern. It's the Keeneland Today pregame show with Gabby and Scott. She'll have her reasoning for taking this long shot price there. Like to see how she shakes it out with Crystal Symphony here in the 5th. But I've got Baytown Lovely. Blenheim Baby, the other one in here, certainly one that you have to consider for Eddie Keneally, right? We talked at the top of the show. One of the top week 3 trainers we see here at Keeneland is Eddie Keneally. So this is one where Blenheim Baby, the 8 in race number 5. We'll see if Keneally continues his trend. 5 wins during week 3 over the last 3 years at Keeneland. He's going to get 1 or 2 this week. You can almost bet on it based on the numbers. So we'll see if Blenheim Baby is one of the first to do so for him. This one comes in from Turfway, 3-year-old taking on Elders. But look, it's a lower class level in his spot. So sometimes if you're a non-winner of 2 and you're 4 or 5 years old, it's not necessarily a good thing, because you've had multiple shots. But you do have the developmental edge over the 3-year-olds just physically at this point. So I would like to stay with the older horses, and that's why I'm going with the one I have, even though that runner is 1 for 10 lifetime now going in the non-winners of 2. But that one was the best one, the maiden special at Keeneland. So we're going to rely on that handicapping angle in race number 5 with Baytown Lovely. To the 6th we go, Starter Allowance Company in this one. Starter allowance races have been awfully popular here at the meet so far. I rang up some numbers. 8 so far this meet. We've had 8 starter allowance races. Favorites have won 4 of those, but the average winning payout's $8. So it's all or nothing. It's chalk or bombs. Turfway runners have won 4 of the starter allowance runners, 4 of the starter allowance races so far. 3 of the winners came from fairgrounds. So 8 starter allowance races. 7 of the winners have come from either fairgrounds or Turfway. 4 for Turfway, 3 for fairgrounds. And as we get to race number 6 on the card, a field of 6 in here, you do not have any horses representing fairgrounds in this particular spot. And the Turfway rep is number 6, Marmalade Sky. And I'm going with that Turfway angle. Marmalade Sky, the other reason I like this horse, before even running the stats on this, I usually handicap the races traditionally, which is go through, look for pace scenarios, look for handicapping angles that I like, pedigrees, all that kind of stuff. Then I work the stats second and see who fits and who doesn't, and maybe if it's going to change or break any ties in my handicapping. Number 6, Marmalade Sky was my pick in here before I saw that the Turfway horses were doing so well in the starter allowance races, because last time out, this horse broke its maiden by 5 lengths, or her maiden by 5.25 lengths. She had run second a couple times before that, nibble, 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 and then a breakout win. I call it the nibbler breaks out. Whenever a horse gets confidence and finally breaks their maiden and does it convincingly after just a couple narrow shots, and then bam, this is usually a horse who got it. Like the light bulb went on, and all of a sudden they understand the game and the assignment and what they're supposed to do. I think the 6, Marmalade Sky, is the kind of horse that often wins right back next time, and I'm looking forward to playing this one in starter allowance company. Also a horse who fits the conditions perfectly, right? Starter allowance 50,000 level is what this race is, which means you had to run at least once in your career for $50,000 or less. So you're looking for one horse who showed up for $50,000 just once in their career and have been running against tougher horses in every other start. That was it. This horse in the career debut ran for a 50,000 maiden claiming here at Keeneland, ran well, ran third, but has been all maiden specials and protected in maiden allowance races ever since then. So Marmalade Sky fits the conditions. The nibbler breaks out. And again, the Turfway horses are running so good at the meet, and they're running very, very well in these starter allowance races. So now you've got something, right? We're at race number 6. And as I told you, my key plays of the day are all later in the day. So look, if we're a little poo-pooing the first part of this card, all that means is you get more budget for later in the day when you have horses you actually do like. Marmalade Sky is 8-1 in the morning line. I'd hammer this horse at half that price down to 4-1. Now, Paparina, the 5, is 6-5 in the morning line. This is a horse who's got trouble getting out of the starting gate. So can Paparina, the 5, get out of the gate? Last couple times hasn't. You're sprinting at Keeneland going 6 furlongs. You're not winning from where this horse was running at Oaklawn. You know, you're not coming 4 lengths off the lead, 5 3/4 lengths off the lead, and winning a 6 furlong sprint at Keeneland. That wasn't happening opening 2 weeks of the meet, and typically won't happen at Keeneland at any point in time, no matter how the track's playing at 6 furlongs. It just doesn't happen that way. So Paparina might be the best horse on paper. A lot of respect for Ron Moquette, the trainer. Tyler Gaffalione, leading jockey aboard. There's a lot to like there, but this horse has had trouble getting out of the starting gate twice in a row, has got to break. If the 6 break or the 5 breaks, then you've got the horse to beat in the race. But if she doesn't break again, this daughter of California Chrome could be a short price favorite that's getting beat. And that's what you want when you're trying to take a horse who's 8-1 in the morning line. You want a vulnerable favorite in here. And I think we might have one in a race number 6. So as we go across the way, Paparina, top pick in here for Kim and Scott. The 1, Dion's 80 is the top choice in here for Tom and for Gabby as well. So 6, 5, and 1, that's the way we all have it shaken out, you know, for the most part, as the main top players here in race number 6. But I love Marmalade Sky in here. So give me the 6 over to 5 and the 1, looking at exactas. And, you know, if you're going to get the 5 out of the win spot, maybe you get the 5 out of the exacta too. You know, if the break isn't good, maybe you can get away with a 6-1 exacta in here and really get a nice looking price. But I like the 6. So, you know, daily doubles are very important. Again, with that reduced takeout, 15% takeout. So you want to look at doubles. We like this horse a lot in the 6. So can we get to him from race 5 to 6? Can we go race 6 to race 7? Race 6 to race 7, I think I have a little more confidence than race 5 to race 6. Race number 5, our top choice in there was Baytown Lovely. I think we could do, you know, a little a daily double in that one in race 5 to race 6. But I think the bigger double that we want to go after is race 6 to race 7. But I need this race 7 to stay on the turf in order to kind of give, you know, my true opinion of this race from a pre-handicapping standpoint. Otherwise, look for the updated scratches and changes tomorrow, and I'll update my picks on Twitter. You see the social handle at the bottom, at HorsePlayerNow, and also go to the Keeneland Handicapper Selectors box on the website, the Handicappers Consensus, and I'll update my picks in there. And, of course, I update with the TV department to give them my final picks, so you see that on the simulcast graphics as well. But I'm all in for Way Hill Road. I like this horse quite a bit if we stay on the grass. If we go to the main track, there is really not much main track form in here at all. And I think Shug McGahee will keep this quality road colt on the main track as well. So Way Hill Road is the play in here, probably almost certainly, even if this race comes off the turf. But on the turf, I like this horse just as much by Quality Road, who's got great numbers here on the Keeneland turf over the past year, including a win by this horse during the fall meet last year. And look at these last 3 starts for Way Hill Road. If you're looking at your past performances, broke from post 11, 11, and 11. The last 3 times going a mile at Kentucky Downs, Keeneland, and Gulfstream Park. Never has a chance to get in. this time breaks from the rail. Jose Ortiz can save all the ground. Again, a win over the course, bred to love the course. Shug McGay, he's off to, he got a win over the weekend on the turf. I think he won the 1.5-mile grass race in Allowance Company over the weekend. And Shug last year was as good or better than anybody in Keeneland turf wins throughout the course of the calendar year. So I love Wayhill Road in race number 7. It's one of my second of 3 key plays on the card. And again, they just happen to come this way and, not desperately throwing horses in at the end of the day. The ones I really like just happen to be later in the day, and I did not have strong opinions early in the card. But race 6 to race 7, a 6-1 daily double, that's going to be my big play of the day. I mean, I just tell you that right now, that the strongest play I'll make on the entire card would be race 6 to race 7, a 6-1 daily double. I've got the race picked 1, 2, and 12. The other handicappers across the way also like the 12 in here, Pork Roll, and also the 2 in here, What Say Thee. So it's a lot of the same kind of horses, maybe in some different orders and shaken up, but give me Wayhill Road on top. I like the 1 over the 2, 12, and 7. Raise High, I think, is one you want to watch in here. This horse is 20-1 in the morning line. Another pedigree play by Noble Mission. Noble Mission's horses have a good percentage over the last year or so on the turf course here at Keeneland. One of those wins was by Noble Mission, or by Raise High, who's the son of Noble Mission. So I think Raise High at 20-1 in the morning line is a horse for course potentially. It could be in the exactus. So I'm really going after this race with the 1 on top. I want to use the 2, the 7, and the 12 underneath. So you're looking at exactus, trifectas, 1 over the 2, 7, 12. And then again, in the daily doubles, I want to get from race 6 to race 7 with a strong daily double there with the top 2 picks in the previous race. So be a 6-1 daily double, races 6 to 7. Now, daily doubles, we want to roll on from race 7 to race 8 and try to, compound our opinions. We're trying to build off our opinions and maximize what we can make on a card here. Race 7, we've got Wayhill Road, the 1 on top. We're going to our top pick now in our third key play in a race number 8. It will be the Toyota Super High 5 race. Again, no carryover, but my third and final top play on the card comes up in this race, and I'm going with the 5 in here, Contemplation, 10-1 in the morning line. This is one where we can make a little bingo again. 7 furlong maiden claimers. You've heard me say it throughout the course of this 8-day meet, but these races produce about a third of the winners at 10-1 or more odds. We've had 2 of them this meet already, 10-1, 14-1 winners. I think they were both last week. 7 furlong maiden claimers are either, very logical, or the lid comes off and you can get a really nice price. Contemplation, 10-1 in the morning line. This one's got good even running lines, going longer at Turfway. Now cuts back in trip, but had a little bit of tactical speed in that race at Turfway. That's going to play well over 7/8 of a mile. Mike Stidham, Tyler Gaffalione teaming up here. Again, the Turfway runners running as well as they have so far in this meet. I like them. I like this one. Trumptastic, the 1, also comes in from Turfway. Certainly got to respect the 1 in here, but you're looking at a much shorter price at 9-5. Trumptastic does have a good race over the track last year, going a mile and a 16. Respect for the 1, got no argument at all if anybody wants to take the 1 in here, but I'm not taking the short price in a race where a third of the winners are 10-1 or more. We've seen 2 of them already this meet. Contemplation is going to be the better value of those 2, so I'm in on the 5. No problem at all with a 5-1 exacta box, though. I would definitely be leaning into those 2. The 8 Olivier is a horse who comes in from Oaklawn. Classy, takes a class drop in this particular spot. Did show some speed from a wide draw last time, going around 2 turns. Should like shortening back, and this one's got an excellent pedigree. If I tap it out of Feathered, Feathered was a really nice Todd Pletcher filly. So that's a, classy pedigree top and bottom there. Olivier could be the 1 in this particular spot, but I'm going with the 5, Contemplation. Give me the Turfway runners in here, 5-1 with Trumptastic. It'll be an exacta box. If you're playing a late daily double, I think you want to go 1-5, obviously, but a 1-1 daily double you also want to get. If Trumptastic wins this race, you might get triple the price on Wayhill Road by hitting that daily double 1-1 versus just the straight win bet on Wayhill Road. So I would definitely look at a pair of daily doubles there, 1-5 and 1-1 to close it out. And in the finale, 5 is a win bet, and then a 5-1 exacta box, the way I'm going to wrap it up. So that's the way I see this card for Wednesday. Again, it kind of gets off to a soggy start, maybe weather-wise and in my handicapping opinions, but then gets better as the day goes on, and that's what they're saying is supposed to happen with the weather. So let's hope that happens, and hopes that the opinions and the strength of those opinions also gets better as the day goes on. You may have completely different opinions of how the card shakes out. You may love horses for other reasons earlier in the program. That's the beauty of handicapping. And what we're trying to show you is how to think and strategize. Don't follow what I'm doing. Learn what I'm doing and do it for yourself. And then you'll be a better horse player, not only when this Keeneland meet is over, but when you come back and play Derby week or anywhere around the country at your favorite local racing outlet. Okay, so that's a wrap for this Wednesday card. I will be back on Thursday night or Wednesday night. I'll be back tomorrow night for a look at the Thursday card. I've looked ahead to Thursday already. You can get that analysis on the website. All the stats and trends are worked out for Wednesday and Thursday's card. You can get those in the expert analysis section of the Keeneland Handicappers pages. So you can look. I have not looked beyond Thursday to this point. That's what I'll do after we finish the podcast tonight. I'll crack open the past performances and start that first run through on the Friday card. Then tomorrow we'll put all the stats and trends to them and try to stay a couple days ahead in our handicapping, and always stay flexible with the horses you like ahead of time. Be prepared. That way you've got time to be flexible when things change. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.